Hello and welcome to part 8 of our gameplay and Songs of Syx in the great city of Foremenlore, which is now kind of looking like a proper little town. Now, looking over some of the stuff in the last episode, it does seem that I was a little bit foolish and I had made it so that we had doored off our little entrance here to the warehouse. That has now been fixed, you'll be glad to hear. And fortunately it has been by Funny DZ, who's actually going to become probably one of our first nobles. And we've got to have a little think about what we want to do. I actually think we'll make him into the university headmaster. He knows so much and he cottoned on to that rather obvious mistake that I think he would make a great university headmaster. This is going to make it so that our laboratories run a little bit better, as well as our libraries and our paper makers when we get round to it. So yes, let's do that. We have our first ever noble. Good stuff, good stuff. Now, the main thing we want to be doing here is we kind of want to be increasing the amount of research that we're going to be doing over the next little while. We have a little bit of research, but not too much. Fortunately, our population continues to grow. Our food stockpiles still seem reasonably okay. We're currently working mostly off of fish, but that's absolutely fine. These fisheries are really being a godsend in terms of how much we're getting from them. And when we can, we would also like to upgrade this one, but we are going to need more furniture. We're going to need more weavers. And in order to do that, we're going to need more cloth as well. Now, our situation is a little bit skewed due to the fact that this warehouse is currently being reconstructed, seeing as we need to add in this door again. So they're going to deliver the stone, they're going to make sure everything is all good to go, and then there we are. Excellent. So we'll make sure that it's got the 4 workers that it needs, indeed it does, and now they should be able to get more of the goods together. And we've also got a little bit more of a collection of food crates as well that we can use should we wish to. Now, the main thing, shed, we don't have any of that. We can potentially think of making Piva beer or shed the wine in the future, but we've really got to have a little think about how we're going to be storing things. As it stands, we're okay. We're probably going to store just a little bit more cotton. We might as well store a little bit more cotton. Seeing we have so much cotton available to us, we may as well. Now, speaking of that, we may also want to potentially think about changing up our weaver slightly, expanding it out just so we can get some more people. We have a couple of odd jobbers about, so I don't think this is a bad idea, so let's just pause the game while we do that. And we're kind of going to go into what we were thinking before, where we're going to expand this on out and probably bring it along like so. So like that, and then that will join in with this warehouse. I'm kind of happy with how large this warehouse is for just now. And we can also maybe even potentially just expand out like this. It's very good. And we'll also make sure as well that we expand over the structures as well for these bits here. Now this is a little bit too wide, so we will have to put in some kind of divider, but that's okay. I think we can deal with that just for over here. We leave that wall there and we make sure that's like that. Probably want to change it as well, so this is going to be made out of stone rather than out of wood. And that should look a little bit better and probably be nicer for the humans that are working within it. Let us also make sure that we're expanding out over here. We'll see, yeah, that will increase that over there. That's fine, we can build another little pillar over here, and that will make sure that we're not using up too much. Now, we want to make sure that we've got enough looms along the walls here that we can make a lot of cloth. We want to really kind of go through the amount of cotton that we have, and we're gonna want to make sure as well that we're, you know, obviously using it all too. Okay, so let's make sure we've got another little pillar over here just to make sure that we're able to utilize all these spaces. Build another loom there. I think we'll build an auxiliary there, and we'll probably just build one along here as well. This is going to take 30 employees. It's probably quite a lot, probably a bit too many, but we'll make sure it's nice and efficient, like so. Perfectly efficient. We'll make sure we build on some doorways. We'll do a doorway directly into the warehouse here. One over here, probably another one over here in the central bit as well. And we could potentially actually even think about removing or lowering down one of these things here, just purely because we want to make sure that there's a doorway into the middle for grabbing stuff in the future. So we'll just bump that loom down ever so slightly, like so, and we'll pop a doorway here, and we'll pop a doorway here. Still got good isolation, 100% isolation. We've got a good number of doors that are coming in. It's going to be quite costly in terms of stone, in terms of wood, and we're not going to be making any fabric while we're doing this, but this should mean that we have enough fabric to then make our clothes. Where is it complaining? There shouldn't be anywhere that is yellow. And indeed, I don't see anywhere that is yellow, so I'm not sure what you're talking about, game. Anywho, that's fine. Let's just go ahead and keep going. So our odd jobbers here are going to be working on this. We're not going to have enough people to really fully man this, but that's fine. We can deal with that. Then they're going to go come forward, build that on up, and that will be a great way to continue our work in creating our goods. Especially now that we're starting to get more of these cotton farms as well. We want to make sure, I mean, look at all that cotton, fantastic. Cannot be complaining about that in any way, shape or form. Now, with our increased efficiency for our laboratories, we can see that our science is starting to go up a little bit as well. We're going to let that go a little bit higher and keep that going. These longhouses here, we're going to make sure that we build up a little bit more here as well. And we don't have a lavatory here yet, so we will think about building one just now. So yeah, let's build another one. We'll make sure as well we're doing this out of stone, because people prefer out of stone. And we'll kind of build it, we'll maybe actually we'll build one more of these houses here, just so we have it as a template. And then we'll build our lavatory as well. So we'll come to health, we'll come to lavatories, and we'll make sure that we build that up and it matches up. With that, we'll build a nice little entrance here and over here. And then we'll build up just a couple of latrines either side. Very nice. Potentially even build one more than that. Yeah, we'll build one more than that. Get our basin in. How big does our basin have to be? Doesn't have to be that big. There we go. Perfect. And just like that, we've got another lovely little lavatory for people to use. And that should hopefully help people keep their needs up a little bit more. Now, in terms of stone, we do have our odd jobbers coming out here. They're gathering it, but we are starting to run out of it slightly. Our wood's doing it okay, so we could potentially think about adding in these stone deposits here. But we shall see. Our carpenter is doing fairly-ish well, in that we have a little bit of furniture, but not much, and our weaver is done. Fantastic. So let's say to you, hey, let's just get you some more dudes, and that should be fine. Yeah, pretty sure we're okay with that amount. 16 weavers should be more than enough to go through our cotton supply and really start to improve the amount of fabric we have. We need that fabric in order to make our clothes, and then also to upgrade our fisheries so we can improve our food resources. Speaking of fisheries, we'll maybe actually even start storing some fish here as well, just so we can start to try and get it over here, and that'll hopefully improve a little bit our logistics for our food stalls that kind of around the area, because I imagine they're probably quite busy. Speaking of that, humans are very, very happy with us, which is great. We've got a few native humans, fantastic. We've still got quite a lot of immigrants, but the fact that we've got this noble as well, they do quite like the fact that one of their species rather is a noble. So they're actually quite happy about that. In terms of services, they're reasonably happy with the number of stage we have, happy with the number of speakers. They do require more hearths, so we could potentially think about putting down more hearths. Lavatories, basically 100%. They're very happy with their access to lavatories, which is great. But we need to maybe think about putting down some more hearths as well. Potentially put one over here next to the shrine. Could be another good place to do it. So we'll make sure to do that if I can remember where it is. The hearth, there we go. I saw it, but I didn't see. And we'll probably just can we make a bigger one? It's slightly too big. It's kind of annoying that it doesn't quite fit in properly, but we could just put it in like that, that's fine. And then we would probably like to upgrade that road just so it doesn't look so strange. So we'll make sure we get a nice paved road around here, around the shrine. Like so, perfect. And just like that, it should hopefully help us out a little bit with our access to hearths. There's obviously a hearth down here, and we could do with upgrading these hearths, but we do have the stone we require for it, and we have the iron, so I think that's actually a good tech to go. So let's do that. We'll think about upgrading ourselves to fancy hearths. Yeah, there we go. It takes 300 knowledge, but we do have the knowledge available, and then if we just click upgrade and all these guys here, then that should make everybody who uses them slightly happier. And if they're happier, then we're happier. These wells here, we do need bathing tech, and we need a lot of clay for that as well. which we currently do not have. We potentially could do with a hearth up here, hearth and a well combo up here, which we might put in between this laboratory and potentially the next one that we build. So yeah, let's do that. Let's build a nice big well here. And then I'm not sure if we're going to be able to fit in a nice big hearth, but we could potentially put in a slightly smaller one. It's going to come out into the road a little bit either way. Unfortunate. We'll just build a hearth here. That should be fine. And then we can just road that up as well. And that should look nice and nice. Like so. We'll make sure as well that we're building this down here. In terms of our stone, we're doing okay. Our research is still going up. We still have plenty of people who are able to work. Let's actually add on a couple more people to the carpenter. Now that we have that available, we want to make sure we have enough furniture. Our amount of weaver supply is good. We don't have the furniture to improve elsewhere anymore. In fact, we're doing so well that our tailor can no longer keep up, which is actually probably a good place to be in. So we'll try and keep that as is if possible. And there we go, we've got our well done. We'll upgrade our second hearth over here. Fantastic. Let's just make sure that every hearth that we have is upgraded. And indeed it is. So we should see that people are much happier with their access to that kind of service. And let's have a little look about what we need to do for fancy wells. So we've got posh relief, and for bathing it requires us to have 300, so you don't quite have the 300 lead left, and the first crime has been committed. Okay, not ideal, not ideal. What can we do about that? So we've currently got our slaver. We can't yet build a guard post because we need to get a next level of legacy, but we should be able to hopefully get there soon, just because we're already up to 240 people. That's quite a high population. And everybody seems quite happy, so you know, you can't really complain. Let's actually expand out these houses over here, like so. Just a little bit more. We do have the stone we require. We've got the posh stone as well. Potentially even thinking about going up to sort of like grand stone could be an idea in the future, but we'll have a little think about that. Either way, we're just slowly but surely expanding on out. And once this lavatory here is done, yep, let's upgrade this to posh relief. The people are happy with their pooping, to not put a delicate spin on things. But yeah, this is one of the good things that you can do. They're very low techs, these techs, just to be able to grab, and they massively increase your people's happiness. So what do we need for this? We need much more clay. So let's think about exporting, or importing rather, more clay. Where are we importing the clay? Down here. So we want to make sure that we have a good level of clay. We need it for our pottery. We need it for, well, upgrading our buildings as well. So if we can get that, we can get that. That'd be grand. And look at that. These hearths actually do look much nicer as well to look at. So, you know, you really can't complain on them. Our laboratory is at full capacity, which is good. And we actually have 31 people. Jeez, oh. Alright, let's actually just build another one of these. I'm quite happy with the amount of food we have. It is going down ever so slightly, but I think that's just because of our rapid population growth. But the number of fish that we have is good. We have a decent number of rations as well, thanks to the gift that we got. Our meat could do a little bit better. We might want to think about actually expanding out into our larger pastures when we get a second. Obviously, we're doing okay here. At least these are filling up with animals, so we do have some animals on backup. And this is almost the problem with pastures. If you don't have the animals kind of in stock, they take a long time to really kind of get to the point where they're worth the number of workers that you're using for them. How's it been doing over here? We've got a nice little stage here. I think we actually probably want to build another stage somewhere where we can. The question is where. It could be kind of nice to have one over here. It does cost a little bit of furniture and quite a few workers, but if we kind of have it like here, kind of behind the stalls, I think that'll look quite nice. And it'll do well for all these people up here that are maybe a little bit further away. And we'll just stone up around here. The other side, there we go. Perfect. Like so. And then we can potentially build up some benches and such, just in order to get that working out. As well, our fish are going to look better once we have more carpenters, so Dondorians have halted all work on our fisheries in protest what they call to be your bad judgment. Okay, please don't do that, Dondorians, although I don't think there's many Dondorians working in our fishery, so I think we should be okay. Let us increase the amount of carpenters we have to the maximum. We're going to be going through a lot of wood, but we could even potentially rework this just so we can get some more furniture as well. So we want to try and get as much of a stockpile of furniture as we can, as quickly as we can. Admittedly, we are using it in this stage as well, but we want to make sure that we've got quite a bit. In terms of money, we're not doing too great in terms of money, which is a little bit of a shame, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. But we are producing a very good amount of fabric, so much so that we could potentially think about upgrading this tailor just to expand it on out, just kind of bring it around, making it into more of a actual production area when we get a second. Or we could even just start selling off some of this fabric, but I think we're better off turning it into clothes at a little bit of a better rate. Alright, Carpenter, how are you doing? So you now have a lot of people, you're making a fair amount of furniture as well, which is good. We've got 30 odd jobbers still working away from us, which is fantastic, and we have our other stage. People are still very, very happy. Other services should shoot up, yep. The fish return to work, fantastic. So yeah, we can see here that they are much happier with their hearths. They've got much more fulfillment for it. They're getting pretty good fulfillment from their speakers. Stage is 50%, we'll take 50%, it's better than nothing. In terms of food stalls, they're fairly happy. Wells, they're only half, and the reason the wells are half is because they're not posh wells, which we need the clay for, which we need a little bit more money for. But in terms of markets and lavatories, they're very, very happy. We need to have a little think about what other things that we could add in for them, things like bathhouses, taverns, etc. But for that, we need to really improve how we're using our coal. As it is just now, we only have a very small charcoaler who is here. He's just here to try and help our smithy, to help our smelter as much as possible, but this isn't a long-term solution. What we need to think about is how we're going to access the bounty of all that coal that's up at the top of the map in the mountain. But we can worry about that once we've grown a little bit more. Anyway, so we're continuing to weave. We are going to probably upgrade this tailor once we have a little bit more furniture in order to do so. But we will see about that. Either way, things are going pretty well. The population is booming. We're now up to 261, so it keeps on coming up. And obviously we've got our noble. Our noble's not going to be very happy because he doesn't actually have a place to live, which is not that great for him. But, you know, it's alright. Chambers themselves do cost quite a lot. They cost, admittedly, grandstone, which we have, furniture, which we are making, fabric, which we have, but we don't have any gems, and that is the issue that we're going to have with that. So let's say we made this out of grandstone. In fact, it might be kind of nice to sort of say that he lives in front of the stage, just so we know where he's going to live in the future. Yeah, I think something like that would be quite nice. Yeah, we'll say he kind of lives just sort of by the stage, like that. We don't have the 20 jewellery that we require, so we won't be able to use that anytime soon, but that is absolutely fine. We'll probably just import that when we get a second, and our furniture slowly but surely coming in. We may want to have a little think about how much furniture access people are getting. It is making people happy, but I think reducing the amount of furniture access so we have enough. Yep, just like that, perfect. And with that we can actually upgrade our fishery, so it's making 30 fish a day. We can upgrade this one so it's making 5. These ones aren't worth quite as much as this one, but this one is probably the best out of all of them that we've seen. Speaking of upgrading, let's have a look over here. We've just used slightly too much of our clay. We could also think about starting to mine clay over here. So they want to give us Garthemi slaves. Nice, yeah. You know what? Our relationships goes down, but for 15k, I will take that. We're going to invest that back into your economy by buying up a bunch of clay. So thank you very much, neighbour. This neighbour has been very nice. I'll feel a little bit bad when we have to go to war with them, but not too bad. I'm sure you understand. We probably want to think as well about, I don't know if we can grow herb farms. No, we can grow herb farms, so we potentially want to think about doing that as well. We would have to clear out some of this river, which will impact that fertilization of that farm up there, but I think that's okay. We don't actually have the herbs for this, but we can tell our people to come along and forage this when they get a second. Yeah, just make sure that you're foraging up these herbs. And we'll actually tell our place here to start stockpile. The reason we want herbs is because you can use herbs to turn things into rations. Rations obviously last a lot longer. And speaking of food, we're actually out of fruit, and we are low on everything bar fish. So we've maybe been a little bit too blasé with our food stockpiles. It does make sense because our population has absolutely skyrocketed. So we're obviously going to be going through a lot more food than before. So yes, let's start copying out these vegetable farms as best we can. And we'll start putting them down next to these other farms. And we should probably actually start expanding out over here with the larger farms and think about how we want to do that. So the way I usually find farms to work the best, and obviously do take everything I say with a grain of salt, is I like to have sort of like a 10 wide farm where possible. So like, yeah, 10 wide, and then have them nice and long. And the reason I like to have them nice and long is because you can have irrigation ditches running up either side, and that will help you irrigate your farms as best as possible. So like this one here is going to be okay. Its fertility isn't the best, but we can just have like a nice big farm up to here, really nice and long. Potentially even bring it closer to the river, but I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, fertility around the farm is very low, I know, but we can use that. We can get some grain, and then we want to make sure that we kind of have a little bit of separation between them if possible. Enough for a road and some irrigation ditches. So there we are, 10 again, and we'll build that up like so. Perfect. So that's us got another vegetable farm, another grain farm, maybe potentially even think about building up another fruit farm somewhere. Yeah, let's just copy this one and we'll build this one up here. These farms will probably get deleted at some point, but not for just now. And we're actually running into our first little bit of homelessness after all of the building of houses that we've done earlier in the game. We had a lot of housing available. Of course, that could actually just be our noble who's, yeah, so the noble is the one who's complaining. That's fine. Okay, let's have a little think. We want to build up as well an import depot just so we can get rid of that little bit of homelessness. We've got the workforce for it, it's fine, and we can start storing some gems as well. We don't need many gems in order to do this, but gems are always good. People get happy if you have gems. So we'll just do that quickly now. I actually have 33 people. Is that with all? That is with all the scientists working here as well. You can actually see our science is skyrocketing upwards, which is great for us. Not so great for our food supplies, but we'll try and work out what we can do about that. Actually, depending on what we could do, we could get better, more efficient fisheries. That is always a possibility, and it might not be the worst thing. Or we can, yeah, we'll actually just maybe put 50 knowledge into edible crops just to get a little bit of boost out of that as well. And that should be good. Over here, get some work safety to do accidents. Yeah, you know, it's not that important. We don't really have to worry about improving our bakery just yet. Mostly from the fact that we are, you know, producing the bread isn't the problem. It's the grain that's more of a problem. And we could even also increase our industrial crop. It's nice and cheap, so we might as well. Let's do it. So that should mean we have more cotton. More cotton means more fabric means more clothes. Speaking of clothes, we now have a decent amount of furniture available. So let's actually think about changing this up a little bit. Yes, I like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand down like so. We'll leave probably a 3x3 gap there, and we'll bring it across like so as well. Maybe just expand this out by one tile. Perfect. Nice little courtyard there that they'll be able to use to bring in their goods, and that should be fine. And then we will also make sure that we're not having this wall in the way like so. So let's have a little look at our workbenches. So we'll massively increase the amount of workbenches we have kind of along this western flank, and probably down here as well, and then also just increase the amount of auxiliary benches we have just to improve our efficiencies. Perfect. We'll make sure we build doors facing on the inward just so people can grab things. Have a door over here, and we'll have some doors on this side as well for when this road eventually comes in. And that should be good, yeah. Make sure as well that we're doing this out of stone rather than grandstone. Grandstone could be good just to make it look nice, but we don't actually have it available. Alright, get to work everybody. We'll get plenty of tailors on the go. That should massively increase the amount of clothes that we have, also increase people's happiness. But our plebeians are exceptionally happy at the moment, which is very, very good. Population as a whole is very, very happy. Bretonians not so much. Dundorians, they're kind of a bit of a bugger, to be honest, so we won't worry too much about them. Speaking of worrying about things, let's also make sure that we're clearing out this rock over here, because we're just a little bit low on rock at the moment, and by that I mean our stockpile isn't full. So we'll just set them to clear all this stuff just while they get a second, and then that should hopefully make it so that we get plenty of stone for future constructions. And once this tailor is done, which hopefully shouldn't take too long, we're going to be using up a lot of our stockpile of furniture, but that's fine. We will deal with that. But let's store a little bit more in terms of our pottery as well, and we do actually have the clay here to upgrade this well. So every time we get a chance, we'll try and upgrade these wells. This will increase the service that people get from using that well, and they'll be much happier with it too. And when people are happy, I'm happy. Because they're happy, that means more of them come in. And we might actually even be able to get to the next level of empire as well, which could be very, very good. Right, let's make sure that we have all of the tailors. There we go. They should be producing a bunch of clothes. The weaver is producing quite a bit in terms of fabric. In fact, this might be too many tailors. We'll have to see. But we should see our clothes stockpile absolutely skyrocket here, which will be great. Yeah, it's probably a little bit too much because the workload is a little bit low. So we'll just, bring that down ever so slightly. And that should be fine. Let's have a little look at the workload. Yeah, so that's currently 77. We'll maybe bump that down to 21. Still have plenty of jobbers in order to do things, which is at this point is collecting our stone, clearing out our farms as well, and potentially think about building up our next pasture. We've got a decent amount of fruit, but that's mostly thanks to the import, but we've still got 5 days of food. That's probably one of the reasons why people aren't so happy with us. And let's actually, while we get a second, let's just pave up this road here. This inner courtyard, we may as well pave that on up. We'll also pave out this road here as well. And it seems like our little village is finally starting to become a little bit of a city, which is nice. We could potentially think about, once we get the logistics kind of done, we can build up some haulers over here as well. And that would be nice. We'll build up another little bit in here too. We may as well. How is it things going in the graveyard? Graveyard's going fine. Some people are dying, but not overly worried about it. Now, what do we need to do? We need to make sure that we are accepting gems, and we probably want to make sure that we have about a level of 30 of them. Our noble will need it for building his chamber. We'll also need additional cut stone as well, which I'm struggling to remember whereabout we're building it. Over here in our masonry. It's just that it's a very small masonry, that's why it's taking a while, but that's fine. We just, we'll use it when we can get it. And we do need an awful lot for this. It's just fine. We need to import the gems in anyway in order to get that. And would you look at that? This tailor is finally making up enough clothes. That should make sure everybody's nice and clothed. How's it doing for our access? Yeah, most people have at least one bit of clothes, which is good. It means also they're more resistant to heat and cold, which means it puts less drain on our wells as well. Speaking of wells, let's upgrade this one. Perfect. And you can kind of see here now we've got the stone buildings coming in. We've got fancier kind of services. It actually looks like a nice little town centre almost. And it'll be even nicer once we get our sort of baths together, but we'll need to worry about coal for that as well. Food seems to be fairly holding steady on 5, which is decent. Our fish levels are going down ever so slightly, but we're making a lot of this fishery. Worst comes to worst, we can potentially make another fishery as well. Now, with some of these farms, their fertility isn't the best. It's mostly these ones at the back that I feel like we could potentially do some more with as well. Let's actually make sure as well that we've got a little road. Ah, there we go. Legati. So now we have an extra nobility that we can use. We can also start to build ourselves some guard posts, a dungeon, scaffolds, and the stock. Excellent. This is a perfect opportunity for us because, as it said, we've got a little bit of crime. And people aren't going to be happy about the fact that there's been a couple of crimes. I mean, what we had thefts and vandalisms and one of flashing. And then a murder. So, a wide range of crimes that have been happening. Now, in order to our law bit here to build our guard post. We're going to need our fancy stone, which we have, wood, which we have, and then also armor. Specifically in this case, leather armor, which we could make. We do have some hide available, so we could make a smaller tailor kind of next to this one that could start making us some leather armor. But I think that's probably something to do in the future. But yes, let's end the video here. So this has been Songs of Syx. Thank you very much for watching and seeing Foremenlore build itself up. If you'd like to be the next one of our nobles, please leave a comment in one of the videos and we'll potentially get you in as our next noble. But thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what we do in the channel and you want to get early access to videos, please consider becoming a member of the Burger Band for early access to videos and a couple of other things as well. But most importantly, thank you for watching. Glad you enjoyed it. Until next time, take care.